Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, your weekly Vanguard podcast brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/Nexus at Night. Trace, the audio quality will be different for different people, and I'm sorry. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And I'm Chris.
I just realized that Trace doesn't listen to this show on a regular basis, so that was for nobody.
Correct.
Yeah. Random friend of mine. So you saw the description, you saw the everything on the internet. Overdressed has been revealed. So we're gonna kind of go through the reboot and our impressions on the whole thing. So yeah, why don't we start with the lore behind the new reboot?
Who wants to do that?
I'm not doing it. Lore is stupid. I'm not doing it.
Lore.
Alright, so go ahead, Root Beer.
Alright, so we're in the planet Cray. We're now moving forward 3,000 years from where we left off last time in the lore. So Giza is gone, Messiah has decided to fuck off to sleep. So the planet Cray has just lost all of its divinity, and all of the existing nations and clans got scrambled together into a bunch of new nations. So the United Sanctuary and all of its related clans are now the Keter Sanctuary. Dragon Empire is unchanged because why would they?
That's the most Dragon Empire thing they could have done. Dragon Empire is the Russia of Planet Cray.
Stargate is now Brantgate. The Dark Zone is now the Dark States, and then Zoo and Magallanica combined into a single nation called Stoichea.
And Bermuda was shoved off into quarantine.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
And then Bermuda is living on a giant pink whale. And
Hell yeah.
Apparently this nation is going to be for like all of their various crossover things in addition to Bermuda, so
like Monster Strike.
Yeah, so that's called Lyrical Monasterio.
So Monster Strike,
Yeah, so
Token...
apparently this happened because Gize did some nonsense or something. We're like 3,000 years in the future.
Yep.
Well, I just assume it got bored, right? It's like, I want to destroy the planet. You know what? I got a pizza coming. Can you guys are good? All right, see ya. Like, that's my fanon for what happened.
I would assume that this is just like, we beat Gize, and then Messiah decided to fuck off after that, so now we're just dealing with the aftermath.
Well, this is 3,000 years in the future. That's just, you forget, you know?
See, the best part about that whole thing, though, is that Gear Chronicle was just like, hey, Dark Zone, we need to make an actual country.
How about some democracy?
Yeah, so basically, Dark Zone is like the Warring States period of Japan, and then it united the country. So if that makes, what's-his-face? That makes Chronojet into Tokugawa Ieyasu. So that means there's a Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Oda Nobunaga equivalent.
What?
Well, they did say there was an unnamed hero alongside Gear Chronicle, so I expect that will just become a card sometime in the future.
That'll be their Oda Nobunaga. And I'm a history buff, sue me, sorry.
I was about to say, it could not have been Amon, because he didn't show up for all of G-Series.
And he'll never show up again, which... We're 3,000 years in the future. I don't expect a lot of these old cards to be revived. Please don't.
I kind of hope not, too.
Actually, I will say that all of Genesis, except for the humans and the dogs, rest in peace, should all still be alive. Because they're literal gods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, the biggest implication of this change in lore is that clans, well, from a gameplay perspective anyway, is that clans don't exist anymore. They have all been merged into their respective nations, so no more clans. We do not have to support 24 different playstyles every goddamn set.
Instead, we have 6, which I don't know if you guys remember the layoffs episode that we did, that we linked to fucking everybody who asked about it. But this is kind of exactly what we asked for.
Yeah. This is like more than what we asked for. Didn't we only cut it down to like half?
we cut it in half.
Oh well, I have brought up the idea of just going to nations many times though.
Yes, I think
That's true. Yes.
that was the most common way if they weren't going to like delete clans from the game was to
Because
just move to nations.
Even if you go down to like 12 clans, you still have like some more problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like you pretty much need to be in a position where you can support everything each time.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the colors in Magic, right?
Right. You just
Okay.
have to play monocolor.
Yeah.
But all
Yeah.
the monocolors will have like their own like multiple gimmicks, I presume.
Right.
Yep. Like, we would imagine that they would still try to maintain some level of the original clan's identities. And
My
then
only-
the Pink Nation is just going to be like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is Bushiroad smoking?
I mean,
Good shit.
my only problem, right,
A
is
giant
that
whale, apparently.
I can't possibly compare this to Magic because there's no Emrakul to cheat into play, and I'm not a fan.
Well,
No, there could be. We don't know that yet.
so the general consensus is that this is a good thing.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
I would say, like, on a game design perspective, trying to balance 24 clans, as you guys said, was absolute lunacy. Having 6 and having them all be supported at the same time, from what it looked every set.
Yeah, well, there's 5 every set, and then the collab nation gets supported whenever.
The whale.
Yeah.
I mean,
The giant whale pops in every
So
once every
yeah,
year.
if like whatever Detective Conan set they release or what have you, will be.
I mean, if anything, this is the crossover nation is probably just their attempts at pushing this into the mainstream because they really obviously want this to work.
Yep, they are all in, as it were.
There was
So-
a mention on like Different Fight covered that everybody covered this, and Different Fight had translated one part where they said this is their hopefully last reboot of the game, so they're not going to make this like whole reboot every few years thing a thing, or they're trying not to anyway. I think this is their last stand of balance.
Yeah, well, they will do everything in their power to not. They'll definitely try to make sure they never have to reboot again. Is what they said.
Yeah.
And they've pretty much cleaned house on the design team.
Yes.
New design team, new director, new everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, new
Apparently,
design
the new
team-
design team is largely responsible for what we've seen in clan selection so far.
Okay, I can live with that.
And honestly speaking, I think that's a good sign because, okay, so Solemn Vanguard actually said that he feels that the cards feel a lot more like watered down
In clan selection,
in clan selection, which I agree with. And that they should have been introduced a lot earlier instead of waiting till the end of the life cycle. But if that's kind of the sign that we're gonna get unique playstyles for each like nation or like whatever's happening, I am absolutely okay with the clan selection volumes 1 and 2 as their test. I think they have showcased a lot more. Forgive me for saying this, competent than the previous design team.
yeah.
In just one set.
So clan selection 1 and 2 are their pilot episode, quote unquote, of the new design team.
Although I do think it is an unfair impression because they had to work within the framework of V-Era, which is why that probably seemed really watered down because there were interesting ideas, like what they did to Mega Colony, how Chaos turned out, Gastile had a really interesting design. So they have a lot of interesting designs. It's just trying to fit those into V-Era has been
Very apt description. Thank you.
Absolutely. Raspberry.
Yeah. So.
sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, since we're already kind of talking about the like level of support and everything, maybe we can talk about like what have they done with formats now that they.
All right.
I'm going a little out of order from the list we have here, but just
That's
sorry.
fine.
Yeah.
So for the format stuff, we're gonna have 3 formats. This feels very much like what they did for the beginning of V Era 2, where we're gonna have the standard format, which is just going to be all the new stuff. So they're calling it D format. Get all your chuckles out now.
I've been calling it OD or Overdress format all day. Like I don't even call it standard.
Because I'm not immature.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah,
even when you call
the
it the
new
OD
standard
format.
is going to have D icons, and it's going to have the nation playstyle. We're gonna have nations. We should have several sets of support for every nation every year, so hopefully things will be more balanced because there's only 5 of them, and then whatever random crossover they pull out of their butts.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna have V Premium, which seems kind of like what they did at the V Era reboot, where V Era just keeps going, and they say that they're gonna keep printing V Collection extra boosters twice a year for all clans, but
I think they will, at least for the first year or two.
Mm-hmm.
But they're it seems like they want to use those a lot for nostalgia units like Raging Form Dragon, etc.
And
Yeah.
Tetra Drive
So
was another
I think
announcement.
yeah, Tetra Drive as well. So I think these formats survive as much as people have faith in them. And so people already kind of being like, is kind of probably not a good way to be. I mean, obviously, I probably wouldn't want to play V due to V Premium due to it being just V Era stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think I don't think people should give up on Premium. Say.
I think that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the reason for V Premium being a thing is they brought in a lot of people into the now previously standard format. Either from people disillusioned by G who alright, I'm just doing standard and that's it, or just brand new people to the game. So I think this is just a way of kind of liaisoning them into Overdress.
Yeah, maybe.
And then we have Premium, which is just premium as it is now. All cards are legal.
The eternal
it's
format.
it's still in format though, so what they're doing with the nation cards is basically functions the same way as the Zeroth Dragons, where you still play clan-based decks, and then anything from the corresponding nations can also be put into those decks. But if you have a Kagero card, even if you put D-era Dragon Empire cards in, that doesn't mean you magically get to start splashing in like Narukami or Tachikaze. You're just playing Kagero.
You could just play the Narukami-like cards that are in the Dragon Empire.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a thing. I really like the keeping an eternal format is always a good thing because it leads to more experimentation. TIE Fighter, who we had on our Nova Grappler Premium Profile episode, he had a really good video about this where he kind of talked about this reboot just through the lens of Premium for the most part. And he was saying that, even though it might seem pretty chaotic, there's still going to be ban lists, and B, within 9 years of cards, there's so much stuff you can do, and I think it's going to lead to a lot of interesting deck builds for that. And I'm excited for Premium especially.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, along with this is also, they're changing ratios for sets again, so let me find the infographic. They're doing away with their top rarity, so VRs currently, previously GRs. We're just getting rid of those. We're going back to just triple Rs, double Rs, rares, and commons.
Finally. And there are going to be foils of commons and rares now.
Yeah, so there's going to be a new hollow rarity for pimped out rares and commons. And
Hell yeah.
Obviously, they're still going to have DSRs, which is Dress Secret Rares, which is just your shiny versions of high rarity stuff.
Again, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I'm glad that you have the accessibility of these lower rarity cards, and then if you want to be a whore, you can be. And I think that's probably what's going to drive most of the secondary market, but that's okay.
I feel attacked.
What? That you're a whore? Or...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm being called out for wanting shiny rares.
I like how he's not denying the fact that he's a whore. He's like, yes, I'm a whore, but also that I'm a whore. That
Yeah, and
That's
then so with the change in rarities, the ratios they've given us for the new upcoming booster set is going to be 10 triple Rs, 15 double Rs, 30 rares. There was a typo in the post I'm reading, and looks like 65 commons plus 2 DSRs, 40 SPs, and 50 holos.
So you have those plus the TDs
Yes.
for first set. Interesting.
Yeah, so if we go with the assumption that they're supporting the main 5 nations every set, that means theoretically every nation should be getting two triple Rs, 3 double Rs, 10 rares, and 15 commons.
13 comments. Wait.
13? Oh, yeah, 13.
Yeah, 13 comments.
I'm a
Yes.
math major.
I'm
says.
bad at math.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have an excuse.
And-
Matt does not have an excuse to be bad at math.
I do. Earlier today, I was thinking, I was like, 3 times 3, that's 6. And I was like, wait. Hold on.
I've done that before, or like I've caught myself doing the there thing. Not so much getting it wrong.
I also was like quickly doing something and forgot a negative, and I'm like, oh, I'm dumb.
Also, I'm dumb. I said they were getting 10 rares, which is wrong. They're only getting 6.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Because there's 30, so 30 divided by 5 is 6. Yeah.
Yeah, 30. 30 divided by 5 is obviously 10.
So you have 9, so you have 5. So they're getting 5, 11, 24 cards per clan in the first set.
That's pretty good.
Plus TDs.
Yeah. So
They have like 15 or so. So yeah, there'll be probably not enough for like variety quite, like a lot of variety quite yet, but I assume they're going to put a lot of stable stuff in the TD, like PGs and whatnot, so they don't waste like spots and sets for that.
I hope
yes.
so.
Yeah,
Or
so
whatever
along
they
with
decide
the
on
first
that.
set, they're going to be putting out TDs for all the nations, and I think later down the line they are making a Bermuda TD.
For 3 yen a piece, which is like less than $4, and the English ones that are $4, like on the dot.
Yep. And
so if you're me, I'm just going to buy one of each.
yeah.
And
And they're also making it so that all the staple cards should have 4 of, so you're not having to buy like 3 of them.
They're gonna do that shit where they like put 1 foil of each, so you have to buy like 4 TDs to be pimp.
Oh, that drove me
Probably.
crazy. I run in my my astral plane stuff for Genesis. I run common Valkyrians because I didn't want to get the foil ones. Because I only bought 2 TDs, so you just do.
So you're lame. I get it.
It's not so much a lame thing. It's a I need
No, I
them
get
to
it.
all be the same rarity thing.
I mean, yeah, but there's a better fix.
What buy the other 2 foils on
Yeah.
TCG
Yes.
Player? I could, or I could like pay my rent and my bills and stuff. Not that it's that
true.
expensive, but it adds up over time.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
So the schedule in Japanese is going to be the first 3 TDs, which are going to be Dragon Empire, Dark States, and Keter Sanctuary, are coming out in March. Then in April, the last 2 for Stoichea and Brandgate are coming out in April alongside the first booster set. And then in May, we're getting a festival collection, which is and an anniversary collab, which is going to be Token Ranbu.
Yes.
Of course. It's coming
Nobody
back.
cares.
No, well, no,
I do.
no. No, Chris cares because I made fun of him for it for literally the entire time we were in college. And I'm like,
Yeah,
they're
no.
never going to do it again, and you win, sir.
Still nobody cares.
So I believe the festival collection will be like Bermuda stuff and maybe a TD. I think I
Well,
saw
I
that
think-
somewhere.
It's weird because like not only do they have like the clamp character designs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have this Token Ranbu set almost immediately. It's like they're really trying to bring in that crowd, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you already know. Like, they're the same people that animated Code Geass. So it's like, you know they're trying to bring in the more like, oh, we like the big brain anime and also the cute
makes me-
animes.
This is unrelated, but it makes me so sad that the only thing anyone knows Clamp for is the character design of Code Geass. It makes me so sad.
I mean, that is entirely fair, but I just felt that I had to mention it.
Yeah.
Please understand.
And also, like, putting all their stuff on Amazon Prime, it feels like they're trying to hit the mainstream crowd as hard as they can.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no, they're trying to do some stuff for sure. They're pushing.
See,
And
the
then-
thing about this,
I think they're trying to undercut Digimon here based on this price point.
Seems like it.
Makes sense.
Because Digimon in the West has had some issues. So,
Yeah.
with supply. So, we'll see.
And then June is going to be the second booster set, and July is going to be their second collab, which is Monster Strike.
Oh,
I
you mean
keep
that
forgetting
game-
Monster Strike exists until this stuff keeps happening.
But that game died in the West.
Yeah, well, yeah, I played the game for like a day or two in the West, and I went back to Puzzle and Dragons. But
Yeah, same.
no, that game is still incredibly popular regardless. Like, that's a collab we'll probably never get, but, which is awkward, but whatever.
I mean, I don't know, we might.
Just like we got the what's that one? The Bang Dream collab.
Yeah, but people actually buy Bang Dream shit.
Yeah. So like, if people actually buy Bang Dream shit and we didn't get out of here,
I know people who flew to Japan just for Bang Dream stuff.
No, fair
Goddamn.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then we also got reveals for all the boss monsters in the new TDs.
electric dragon robot.
Yes.
What is essentially Managarm 2.0.
Uh-huh.
A guy that looks like Spike Brothers if they got infected with the Mega Colony virus.
Bruce.
What am I missing?
Bastion,
the police.
whatever he is.
Royal Paladin, just Royal Paladin.
Yeah, some kind of knight. Yeah,
Yeah, and
And the fan base's bondage fetish.
right.
right.
As you do.
ACAB.
The go-to horny jail deck.
And you know everyone.
Hey,
is
they
supposed
said
to buy
lock
it.
though, so hold on.
Yeah, that's right. They also gave us like sneak peeks of what the potential playstyles will be. So, I think they said Dark States was going to be like big power on your Vanguard.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Remember
sort of all-in-one push kind of thing. It looks
Yeah.
like.
Right? It's gonna be like locking stuff,
Mhm.
and then like, Stoikea is like multi-attacking with rears.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Keter Sanctuary is probably going to be continuing to do the Paladin stuff where you just have a bunch of units.
Yeah.
And then Dragon Empire,
Empires.
apparently something about evolving your Vanguard.
Digivolve
Makes sense to me.
too.
They had this thing called Persona Ride, but didn't explain what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. It's that
But
little
why would they?
icon underneath the grade for those who
Yeah,
are wondering.
Oh yeah. But they decided to not comment on that at all.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
assume that that's the overdress part of the name.
Oh, it could be.
Aside
Yeah.
from
A
this,
specific. It could even be a specific nation mechanic.
maybe.
Could be. Speaking
I
of
mean-
new mechanics,
I'll just be saying Persona.
Beat me to it. Okay, so speaking of new mechanics, they've introduced a few new things for Overdress. Starting with the concept of the ride deck, which is essentially 4 cards, a grade 0, 1, 2, and 3, that are separate from your deck itself. They have to be in separate sleeves, and they are taken out of the total 50. So at the start of the game, the thing in your deck zone is 46. The grade 0 is your starting Vanguard every time, and then the 1, 2, and 3 exist outside the game. But if you want, you can discard a card to ride that card during your ride phase. So no more misriding, no more G-assisting.
So one thing that they say here is, so if if it's like an important grade 1, it's probably you probably don't want that card in your ride deck, right? Like if it's like a grade 1 that you want to like call most of the time, because that means you can't have 4 of that card in your deck if it's in your ride deck, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're only able to have 3 at that point in the deck.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a pretty big deal.
Also, my question that I don't think was properly answered was like, can you only use the ride deck if your grade's stuck?
No.
So you can if you choose to.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it seems like. So like if I, have like a grade 1, 2, or 3 in my hand and I'm going to ride, and I see that what I have in my hand is not something I necessarily want to ride, it looks like I can just discard a card and then ride it.
Okay. Yeah,
So
the current QA that they have up doesn't really answer that question, although I imagine as we get more information about things that they'll clarify this issue.
Yeah,
So-
because I think... Okay.
Sorry, Chris, finish your thing.
I was just about to say, the ride deck just seems like it's going to replace G-Assist because of how much it put the player G-Assisting behind. And
and
that's
also,
really all.
G-Assisting had a chance to fail.
Also true.
Yep.
In the case of the discard, we've talked about the concept of the ride minus. Different Fight also touched on it a little bit in his video. But when you ride, normally you lose a card from your hand. When you use the ride deck, you also discard a card from your hand. So it's essentially the same amount of card advantage being lost.
Right.
Regardless.
It's not like a straight -1 like G-Assisting was.
Correct.
But at the same time, there's still the kind of penalty of there is something to discard that you may or may not want to discard.
Yeah.
So
Or there's something you do want to discard.
exactly. Yeah.
Grant Blue smiles. To
It
themselves.
also appears to be that the quick shield thing is going away, and
Yep.
that the
Yes.
player,
The player what?
the starting player won't draw a card off their
Yeah.
starting Vanguard ride, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh! We're Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules now. First
I mean,
player doesn't draw.
I was
Kind of.
waiting for us to get here. I was waiting for us to get to this point.
Yeah. I mean, you
Like,
still draw for turn.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you don't
you
draw fighting grade 1,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually like pretty big. Like it's the same as just not drawing for turn, right?
Well, what's interesting...
Except it's actually better because it means you have the option to draw your grade 1 if it's some not in your hand, or I guess now you have ride decks, that doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting
Well, you have
is...
a ride deck in standard only.
Yes. Ride deck is standard only.
Yeah,
Yep.
so you can't do this in Luard because there was a meme flying around where people are like, you run the one copy of Luard in the ride deck and then just run a bunch of grade 1s and 2s.
And there's a lot of reasons why this can't work in other older formats, and you have to ban but it might be worth banning like 20 cards just to be able to do it. To be honest,
Maybe.
Might.
What's interesting is that the way they worded it implied that no matter what your starter is, if you're going second, you get to draw a card when you ride grade 1. Because before, in V-Series, the drawing off of riding grade 1 is a skill of your starter.
right?
But obviously this will be...
We'll have to see the starters before we make that call.
Yeah, it'll be proven or
It could
disproven
just
by
be
the
that
reveals.
the starters will have. Yeah, it seems like a possibility is that the starters will just have the skills they have now, but worded with the quick shield effect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, can I be kind of upfront? I really hate the way V-Series did starters.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I really hate that. Like, and I really hope they don't let this go into Overdressed because I liked having a grade 0 that did stuff on rearguard that, might be able to diversify the way I play the deck.
I mean,
Like,
who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah,
I agree
They
with
could-
this.
there could be a version of Forerunner that just has the quick shield clause, where if you're going second, you can draw a card.
Could be a thing. And now for the overtrigger in the room.
oh,
They also-
God.
Oh, it's my least favorite part of this thing.
It's
Matt,
my
you
favorite
want-
trigger.
You want to read this out? You
Yeah, so
haven't,
now there's this ultimate trigger card that's 1 per deck, called the Overtrigger, and it gives like 100 million power or something ridiculous.
that sounds
and,
like he's exaggerating, but that's literally the power.
Yeah. So if you flip it on drive check, it gives 100 million power to somewhere, and has an extra effect based on your nation.
Mm-hmm.
If you take it on damage, you gain 100 million power, and then you don't take damage for us. You basically negate the entire block of damage.
Yeah. That was like weirdly worded when they introduced it because they said it resists damage source, but
I
then
expect that if you get, like, let's say you get crit, and
Mhm.
let's say you take this card as your second damage, it only stops damage after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, because the way it works is once you activate it, it's removed from the game. So
Right.
I would imagine the resist damage would mean like if you damage check this, it goes away, so you don't take it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, if you take it as like the second damage on a crit,
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah, so you're only
damage
taking one damage.
previously, so you would take one damage instead too.
Yeah. But I'm just clarifying, like, that seems to be what resist damage source means.
That's what I'm guessing.
But it also
too.
means like your Vanguard's probably not being hit for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, because 100 million is a
A
lot.
lot. Yeah.
Basically, unless your opponent also gets their own over trigger.
Well, it only has 50k shields, so yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
also has 50k shield for some reason.
we asked
If you
for
draw it,
defensive
I guess,
options.
because everyone's going to draw it.
Yeah.
Oh, I will draw it every game.
Yeah. So here's the exact wording. You may only have one over trigger in a deck. When revealed as a trigger, remove that card. Draw a card. Choose one of your units. It gets power plus 100 million until the end of turn. If revealed during a drive check, activate its additional effect, which is based on which nation you're playing. And then additional effects, I think this is just a vanilla one. It's like, choose one of your units. Gets power plus 100 million. So, yeah, I think Root Beer is right. The resist damage is, if it's going as your damage check, it just poofs
Right.
out of
Yeah, that's what I'm
existence.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we want the implications of this? How we feel?
I think it being one per deck is like kind of obnoxious, in the sense like it's just going to be one of those things where you're just like, oh, well, there it is. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm not high on it, but I'll test it and we'll see.
I think it will largely depend on what the nation effects are.
Yep, I
Yeah.
can agree with that.
I think it'll
'Cause,
likely
like-
depend on how fast games are too.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically the like on the offense, these things are probably going to guarantee damage basically.
Yeah.
So I just wonder like how annoying is playing around these things going to be basically.
Yeah. Because, like, they can still be perfect guarded, but you're not always going to have 2-3 perfect guards.
Right.
And then...
You only get to put it on one unit. So
Well, not for like the Keter Sanctuary one, right? That one's like already on two. Or is that the dragon one?
did they?
we
say?
have no... We
Oh, I
have
don't-
no idea. It could just
It's-
be, like, the additional effect that they gave us right now is just an example, and we'll see what the actual full effects are
I
once
see.
the game is properly released.
I see.
Like, we have no real way of knowing what this actually does until they properly release all of the nation effects.
Gotcha. All right. No, I just didn't know.
It could, because, like, if all of the current nations have these very distinct play styles, it could be that they're just taking the styles of the old triggers and putting it as the nation effect.
Mm-hmm.
What? So a stand crit draw heal type thing, or what do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like that.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll take it.
interesting.
But, again, we have no real way of knowing until they actually reveal it. And I guess the other upside about this mechanic is, like, if it goes really badly and they think it's not healthy for the game, they could just ban this card and never print new ones.
Yep.
Yep. There was somebody who put a very long post on the Vanguard subreddit. We linked to it on our Twitter. It's called "Overtrigger's Not as Broken as You Think," and the guy had like a long rant about, don't freak out. But just a little excerpt here. The first thing I see most people say is, I don't want to lose the game because the opponent pulled a single trigger. Well, this is a fair reason for not wanting to lose a game. People please realize that this has been a factor
That
of the
happens
game
all the time anyways.
since day one. Yeah, I don't think
this is like, but I don't think that's like really valid, because the difference is like you can just have a hand, like a large hand, and this card just negates any of that.
Yeah. Like, I don't
Where
think
like
any.
you're not losing the game to a trigger like substantially ahead on hand before.
Yeah, it's usually like they double crit
Like
you
I don't think
or
there's
something.
a valid argument there.
Yeah. Well, the rest of it is I don't think any player can remember the number of times they've lost to a miracle heal. I know I sure can't. Or the number of games they won by someone getting very lucky and landing a crit on a drive check to just barely get past the opponent's guard. Lots of decks tend to get walled out by just one or two defensive triggers as it is. The very nature of triggers is that the game of Vanguard can swing dramatically off of a single trigger check, and the addition of overs doesn't change that in the slightest.
It
End
definitely
quote.
does. I disagree with that in general, but it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, there's also
I-
stuff like how many times do you just draw it at the start of a turn, or off of draw triggers and skills, or that kind of thing.
Oh no,
Like,
I will draw it. I will draw it. I will draw it
Yeah.
naturally every game.
Although I also like kind of disagree with that idea that triggers can swing the game very hard. Like they can, but I feel like as we've seen with recent power creep and how consistently the best decks top is that triggers stop mattering at a certain level of power.
mhm.
So
James likes to make this point a lot too, that like triggers aren't actually worth as much as people would ascribe to them. Like, yeah, sometimes you'll steal a game multi-critting someone early, but at a certain point, triggers start to become less relevant.
Chris, you had
Um,
something?
personally, as a professional luck sack, I love this card. That being
Of
said,
course you do.
the way this card works, personally speaking, I think it's only beneficial in two places. One, if your opponent just does not PG, or if you are, needing that miracle like heal on 6 or like some other damage or whatever. I don't necessarily think that it's a problem card per se. I just think that if you feel that there is a substantial opportunity, or at least a substantial like chance that there will be that card popping up, you should probably PG. If there is still perfect guards, that's the other
But
thing.
it's a one of like, I think a pop up like immediate like it, I guess if it pops, it's actually less bad if it pops up immediately, but like it's gonna be annoying if it pops up like quickly, but like like right as you're at like 4 damage or something. It's gonna be rather annoying.
Yeah, and well, I agree with that, but depending on what the nation effect does, like if it adds another crit, then this is where this card gets really toxic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if it's like stands or like draws or like a heal, the heal might be really annoying, but the other two not so much.
I don't know.
Unless it's a front trigger for like 100 mil, then I have nothing, guys. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of front
I guess
triggers, somebody.
Like, imagine,
like you
like,
can still
you're
assign
playing-
Okay,
Well, that's-
Matt
I guess
first.
the problem is like you can assign the 100 million power anywhere. So if you're playing something that can attack a whole bunch and you just dump this on a standing rear guard, for example, like what are you supposed to do about that? Do you have just 3 perfect guards lying around to stop the Vanguard?
Yeah, like
Then the
Stoic
first
is gonna
100 million,
like
then the
multi-attack with
ne-
their rear guards, right? So you're
Yep.
just gonna like throw 100k on something, like restand attack you again for 100 million.
Yeah.
Like what? Like that's already like basically 2 guaranteed damage.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Like
that.
that's my concern.
Okay, that's fair. But like,
Understandable.
well,
And
somebody.
that's not one trigger wouldn't make that situation like wouldn't make that 2 guaranteed damage. It would just make it annoying, but it wouldn't be
Yeah.
oh here's 200 million attacks. So that's why I don't really buy that like one trigger. It's like the same as getting a trigger. Otherwise, it's not. It's just straight not.
It's
Yeah,
well,
because like currently you have, let's just say something restands with 30,000 power. Like that's still a lot, and realistically, you're probably going to get beaten. But there is a chance that you scrape by. But 100 million in power, I think even if you drew out your entire deck, you couldn't guard it without
Oh, not even
perfect guards.
close. Yeah, not even close.
yeah, numerically, no,
You're not-
it's
you're
not
like,
happening.
It's literally not possible. even with your own Overtrigger in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the only realistic way of guarding this is a perfect guard, and then
It would be interesting in this case if they make perfect guards, not have to discard.
Ooh.
Hmm.
See, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Another
But
thing
we don't
is
obviously we don't know that yet. But that's just
Yeah.
something that like crossed through my mind just now.
well, you also have it because it's only one per deck, and there's the thing where the guy mentioned like you can draw it or damage it or whatever. Once it's gone, it's gone. There's no
Correct.
like, oh, I'm gonna cheese this back on top of deck, or I have 3 more of these.
Oh
In the
yeah,
deck
yeah, yeah.
somewhere.
You can't loop that shit. Thank fucking god.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Although this also hasn't discounted the possibility that at some point a main character deck is going to have a way of cheating this on top of the deck.
No, no, no. I think they would probably not allow that.
I would
I
hope.
think I feel like you can give this card a different card type, or you can just avoid it at all costs.
Hmm.
It's
Like, yeah, you just say like normal unit, or just not even allow. Like they don't really allow trigger stacking like much like earlier anyway,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they'll try now.
It's
For obvious
definitely
reasons.
something that scared me when it was first revealed to the point where I made a fucking meme from the Opposites Attract video, the Paula Abdul song. I don't know why,
Mhm.
but it came
I
to
don't know
mind.
anything about it.
You
I don't
know,
listen
2
to music.
steps forward, I take 2 steps back. Anyway,
Yep.
so it scared me, and like that guy's post like did assuage my fears a little bit, but just it's definitely the thing that's making me go,
Yeah, I disagree with a lot of his arguments, but I'm actually like not that worried about it at the current moment. I want to see like other things and do some testing once we have access to Japanese, what the Japanese cards do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I assume we'll know the trial decks much earlier than we'll know most other things. So
Yeah. Since
so
they're coming out late March and we're
Right.
already like halfway through, we should be done with Clan Selection 1 now, and we're already like halfway through Clan Selection 2. So, like mid to end of February, they should start revealing stuff.
right, we are done with Clan Selection 1. They showed the Ghosty card yesterday.
Yeah.
all
So
right,
we're
that's
moving on
around
to
my
2.
birthday. Can't wait.
I will say this though. So something I've been noticing about Vanguard is that they've been looking to kind of integrate certain parts of Vanguard Zero into the TCG.
No.
It's starting off with with stuff like art and things like that. But I'm starting to kind of think, based off of what Matt was saying about them not discarding for PGs, what if the PG has you not discard, but you can only use it if you would lose, if you didn't guard?
That's not even how PGs work in Zero though.
That's how they work in Zero, yeah.
No,
No,
in
that's not strictly. No, that's not strictly how they work in Zero.
If they
They'll
have
also
2 or more
automatically guard if
crits.
they have a crit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, not exactly if you have 2 or more
It
crits.
also triggers after drive checks,
Okay, yeah.
and that's a big reason why crits are pretty bad in Zero.
Got it.
Is that like if you hit a crit, then your opponent will auto PG it, and you'll be like, well,
Right.
and you actually lose a lot of pressure that way randomly.
Yeah. It'll also be a thing where you're like, I wanted that damage. I'm at 2.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I feel like taking
Well-
choice out of the equation, because that's what it does in Zero, would be kind of stupid. I feel like that they're
Yeah.
I think they should not do that. I think they
Yeah.
should. I think PGing rear guards actually adds like. I think like when they started making PGs that couldn't PG rear guards, a lot of nonsense started happening, and that was not very good. And so it's actually really nice to just have the option to, even if they don't think they need it.
Mhm. Do you think
Like-
Sentinels will stay on triggers?
I'm not sure. Again, I think we'll know from the TDs alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because the
think
last
they're gonna. They don't have space to put repeat cards like that in the main set, so I think a lot of it will be in the TDs,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big reason why they want the TDs to be cheap.
Mhm.
Like, you don't
Mhm.
want to be in a position where people can't buy fucking perfect cards,
Yeah.
which
That
are
was
like literally
not fun.
necessary.
was not a fun time.
Correct.
In early.
Do you remember
Vanguard.
when, like, in early Vanguard, right? When you were like, oh, I want to play I'm trying to think. Let me try to think of a deck. Like
Gold Paladin, like early Gold Paladin.
yeah. Oh yeah. Like you want to play like fucking Garm or not Garmor, Pelennor and whoever, right? Pelennor and friends.
Yeah.
Toolkit, Pelennor, Ezel, whatever, what have you. And you're just like, oh, but Gold Paladin Perfect Guards are like $12, and every other card in deck is basically worthless. And you're like, okay. It's actually mind-boggling. The deck was like $100, and like half of it was Perfect Guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
insane. But like, I don't think they want to be in that position because Perfect Guards are basically a lockout from playing the game at all.
Mhm.
Where like not having 4 of the triple R is not. Just based on how the game is played.
I'm hoping that they make more like budget main grade 3s, because that's something they kind of abandoned. Actually, sorry, let me drop that.
Well, everyone getting a TD, they automatically have that.
Yes, exactly. So having like a budget boss is good, because that was really a problem in V Series where they just, you don't have the VR,
the VR
go
shit
fuck
is
yourself.
Yep.
Every time they do the VR GR thing, it's awful, and they always get rid of it or lower it, and then they bring it back again.
Yeah.
It's just so miserable.
Although, with them completely rolling over staff, there's some level of confidence that it might go away for good.
Hopefully.
Yeah, VRs were a pain.
So now that we've like kind of gone through everything, why don't we go around in a circle and say one thing about ourselves? No, go around and say what you like, what you don't like about the things we know so far, and what you want to see. So, Chris, since you're the guest, why don't you start?
So, I like Overdressed's overall design. This was a very smart move by Bushiroad to cut down on 24 clans to make it 6. And to ensure that the game balance was maintained by ensuring that, every like clan or nation would be getting basically, support every set. I'm a little bit skeptical on the over trigger. A part of me feels like there could be some good done with it, but a larger part of me feels that, it being one of it having this kind of major power or whatever and all this other stuff, it can probably hurt the game a little bit more than, not having it simply would. Personally, I hope that there are kind of archetypes within the nations, personally. I would really like to see that. Just because I want to see, stuff like oracles and witches within the Keter Sanctuary working together or something like that. Just for, like, lore reasons, because that's pretty dope. Also, stand triggers, bring those back.
Well,
I have bad news for you.
They did reveal some early splash arts for all the new nations, so I think because like the TD boss for Dark States is like this weird mix of Mega Colony and Spike Brothers, but since they're all Dark Zone cards, we're just going to say that it's Spike Brothers. But they also already showed off some splash art with some Pale Moon looking units too.
Sure did. Like a circus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a ruined circus or something like that. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost
And
as
like-
if it was under a pale moon or something.
No.
And then for like for Brandgate, obviously there's going to be some sort of Link Joker aesthetic just from the name, but they did also show off card art with the Link Joker aesthetic explicitly. Stoichea, they also revealed some Grand Blue looking cards, so since it looks like each nation is getting 2 triple Rs, they're probably just going to be supporting multiple old clans within each nation, so don't know what that's going to be for Dragon Empire, because we had like the Phoenix from the TD, and then a whole bunch of Dragon Dancers, which answers absolutely nothing. But like Dark States, it looks like we're starting with Spike Brothers and Pale Moon. I don't know if they revealed anything else for Keter Sanctuary. Everything just kind of looked like Royal Paladin.
Yeah, I didn't see. I saw some stuff, but nothing that I can make out as anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly, that art was
yeah, like-
impressive.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like Stoichea looks like they're starting with Great Nature and Grand Blue, and then Brantgate. We have the policewoman thing, which seems to evoke D-Police, and possibly Nova Grappler. They kind of have similar aesthetics.
But
And
they
then
have
we already
handcuffs to lock your units.
Yeah,
Put them
And
in
then-
prison.
and then we also saw like explicitly Link Joker design cards. So, you know,
Yes.
we're seeing some mixed aesthetics coming out from these already.
And I'm very happy.
Chris, did you do all three things? Was that
Yeah.
okay?
Those are three things.
I don't remember what the 3 things were.
I know it all kind of bled into each other. Root beer, you want to do yours?
Okay, so I really like that they are consolidating into nations. This is something we've desperately needed so that things get equal support. It also means that OTT won't be the worst clan in the game again. What I want to see. I want to know what the fucking Bermuda nation is, obviously, because I'm me.
Of course he is.
Same with Chris. I'm concerned with the possibilities of the overtrigger, or like, on its face with just the 100 million power. I don't think it's terrible, but I also have to acknowledge that yes, this is something that PG or GG, which isn't always the case with other triggers. So I think what the nation effects are is really going to be what makes or breaks this card for me, and hopefully they have the awareness to just delete it from the game if it gets to that point. And then I really appreciate the ride deck. Like, that was a good idea. I don't know why we couldn't have had something like this earlier, but it does mean essentially taking 3 cards out of your deck forever, unless you plan on just discarding for them always, assuming they don't lock it to only if you're grade stuck.
Let's hear that.
Anything you hope to see? Was there anything in there, or was that part of the?
Hope to see. I'm hoping each nation maintains a very distinct play style, because that does part of this was a problem with just how many clans there were in the game too, is all of the play styles kind of start bleeding into each other. Like right now it seems like we have some very distinct thing where, you know, Dark States is going to be this all-in-one, like, complete beatdown in one turn. Stoichea is going to be just general aggression. Cater Sanctuary is going to be the advantage nation. We have no idea what Dragon Empire will actually be based on its description alone, and then Brantgate is going to be the dedicated control clan, at least just based off the initial descriptions of each play style. So
there are no clans; they're only nations.
Yep. So I'm hoping that the 5 nations will kind of maintain distinct play styles from each other.
I will say that just based off of what we understand about the Dragon Empire at this moment, and combining that with what we know about like the whole Dragon Egg thing, I'm almost willing to bet that it's like Digi-Evolution. Like Digivolution, like absolutely. Where you're kind of like, where you have like a grade 3 and then you can evolve it into something else.
So it's just going to be strides.
Kind of.
That would be the
but,
biggest
they won't
fuck you to Digimon ever, and I am so here for it.
Yeah.
That would be great. I am not gonna lie.
I mean, the Zappy Mech Dragon looks like a Digimon.
Yeah.
Because that's how Digimon works, right? You're like an egg, and then you turn into a tiny blob, and then you turn into a blob with legs, and then you turn into a dragon for some reason, and then the dragon turns into a mech.
Yeah, what's the problem?
Oh
no,
god,
but
this
I'm
is
here for it.
problem
Oh my
officer?
god, you're right. The main character is just a Digimon because they already had the egg as like a starter card in their promotional art. And then there's whatever this weird mascot card is going to be. It's probably going to be like the first stage of it.
It's
And
Agumon.
then we have the Phoenix, which is gonna turn into a mech. This is
Yeah,
just
what's the problem?
Digimon.
Yeah, what's the problem? I don't understand the issue here.
Matt?
Let's see. The questions like what I was worried about, what I appreciate, and what I hope for.
It's what you like, what you don't like, what you're hoping for.
So yeah, same thing. All right. So I like that the art is done by Clamp. I'm a Boomer Clamp fan. From the days of, whenever X 1999 will be finished, and Magic Knight Rayearth, Cardcaptor Sakura, Chobits, etc. I've read a lot of Clamp. Anyway, but and like I said, I was sad that people always think of Code Geass when it comes to Clamps, but whatever. I'm not upset about it. I'm very upset about it. Anyway, but I do like that. I like that they followed my idea of to just go to nations and not worry about clans. My brain is quite large sometimes. Again, I am worried about the overtrigger itself, but I'm willing to take a look at it. I'd be much more high on it if the overtrigger were there. I also kind of am a little miffed that the deck is only in standard, but I know why that's the case. So I know that they just cannot let that thing exist elsewhere. And what do I hope for? I hope to see things sooner rather than later. I hope they don't wait till March 20th to tell us things.
So I have some good news in that department. From the way Bushiroad kind of does things with this kind of thing, we probably won't see the TDs until like March 1st or something. That's okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm hoping it's sooner than that. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they still have to get through. Oh wait, they could actually show it during the Tuesday streams. So that
Correct.
They could.
I mean,
yeah.
They can literally waste 5 weeks showing each TD in Tuesday streams.
Also,
and people will care.
They have definitely just started revealing random TD cards in the middle of a set still coming out.
Correct. Yeah, no, they do not care.
I'm gonna be real and say I really don't care about the clan selection cards anymore.
Nobody does.
I only care about Prism support because I'm me, but aside from that, clan selection has been very boring because it has to exist in V.
And honestly, I see where I'm excited for Angelica. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm still debating on selling my Genesis deck, because I still want to play that deck. But at the same time, it's like, what am I gonna do with it? Nobody's gonna want to play V seriously, because V was a very
Atlas, I'm putting that in the YouTube video.
What, that meme?
Yes.
Oh yeah, take it. I saw it on Vanguard's earlier today. It was, what's the guy's name? Somebody named Dimas Dimsum, which I assume is I don't know. It says how the BMT nation conflict will go. So, anyway,
And now everyone is speculating that Bermuda Triangle will be the villains, which I am here for because it means constant support.
I'm here for it too.
Xenoglossia collab, no.
And then you guys are all gonna have darker clothing now, less winking, more scowls.
I hope no one has seen Xenoglossia for their sake.
Honestly, I really hope that we get evil idols.
I'm here for it.
Again, Xenoglossia.
If it's got the word idol in it, Root Beer's here for it. So
I don't even like idols. Is the funny thing.
Is it kind of where, how I see Great Nature, where I don't really care about the aesthetic? You just play it because it's fun.
Okay, Furry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and at this point, I also just enjoy the salt from the community.
That's a good reason, actually. Spite is
very fair.
Spite is a good reason.
Spite is the best motivator.
Spite is the reason I've done so many things in my life. I'm like, I think 2 more spite motivated actions away from a George Costanza award. Close to it. Anyway, good, bad, and wishes. Once again, glad that they consolidated the clans down into nations. And, happy to see that be a thing. Reason, because I'm a little skeptical about the Stoicheia nation, because I get the feeling that there's going to be a muddying of playstyles, but I'm not sure. This could age very poorly.
Again, I would wait.
Yeah, I know. But
to make such claims.
But just in my head, because it's 2 different nations combining with each
Do you
other...
think Title Assault wouldn't be good in Great Nature?
Oh, it would. But, compared to something like the Dark States or... literally all the other nations are just that nation from before, but with a new name and reason for existing. Stoicheia is 2 nations combining with each other.
So
I don't know.
I think you're. I don't think you should be that worried about it.
Yeah. It's also because I want to have a different bad reason than you guys, because you guys have already. I don't like the Overtrigger either, but I don't want to be the. It's already been covered.
Yeah, no. But
apparently, we'll know more about the Overtrigger next week. So stay tuned for that.
Look. All I'm saying is, Stoicheia is going to get Superior. Call a copy of your Vanguard. Give it restand, and when it's placed, paralyze a rear guard. Done.
Please stop. They should just never print a card that says paralyze or stun ever again.
I hope not too. Oh, that's another good thing.
Players are finally free from playing that garbage.
No, that's another good thing. There's less of this weird clan identity problem that the Ninja clans, Genesis, and Mega Colony have suffered from for literally their entire existence.
Now Murakumo and Nubatama are just rogue aspects of the Dragon Empire.
Yeah. And
It's just fine.
Yeah. Genesis managed to get out okay. Because they had the astral plane thing, that was different enough where you had something going, and they even managed to, top a couple tournaments here and there in both formats because they got good stuff. But both Ninja Clans and Mega Colony, they have, it has been, just a dude tripping on his own feet all the way down the track.
I will say that, not to brag or anything, but Genesis also got an Ultima that didn't cost $100.
Got a good point. And then what I'm hoping for in the future is, I'm hoping that this is still a robust enough game where you have decks within nations. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, you want them to preserve the clan identities from each nation, but then because of the mixing and matching, they have more space to print these weird experiments without just dragging down the clan for a year.
Yes. There's that, and I also hope that, now that we have these, the nation things, maybe you start getting stuff like engines. Maybe engines become a thing, like in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, certainly could happen.
But,
there's some things like that, but not very much.
Yeah. And also that's only within clans, whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh! You have stuff like a Sky Striker engine or a, whatever.
Stop.
I made him mad. All right. So, I think that'll about do it for the episode. Where can people find you guys?
You can find me on Twitter at Wiggums2Gs2Zs.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
You can find me at Silver_Chariot 7 with the Roman numerals at the end.
And that's silver with no vowels.
Yeah. Also, I will be putting the links in the description for the YouTube video.
Oh, yeah. We have a YouTube channel now that we're slowly ramping up. And then you can find me at Atlas Novak on Twitter, Instagram, or you can find the show at Nexus at Night in the same places. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Nexus at Night, $5 or more a month, cup of coffee a month, you get a whole ass bonus show every week with the three of us plus the occasional guest. $10 or more a month, you get shouted out on the show, like our $10 patrons, Darren and Cole. Thanks for donating. Yeah, we are excited that we're entering this new era, because now it's a whole bunch of meat to sink our teeth into.
Yeah.
And
I think we're more optimistic about this than were with the V-era reboot, because while gifts were interesting, even then we already had concerns with the idea of making more circles or protect seeming mediocre at face value.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can always go back and listen to them. They exist.
Yes.
We're on a record. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. We will be back next week. It's probably going to be more Overdressed related content. Until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
I continue to be Chris.
And have a good night, everybody.